There's no time to be scared. The lesson is quite clear. Just because you're shot doesn't mean you're going to die. You must keep fighting.
Everybody down!
These were the courageous words echoing among the indefatigable officers of the Los Angeles Police Department as they battled against insurmountable odds to protect their beloved city and its citizens. On February 28, 1997, two men armed with fully automatic weapons and clad in heavy body armor didn't just rob the Bank of America at 6600 Laurel Canyon Blvd in North Hollywood. For 44 harrowing minutes, they terrorized a neighborhood, indiscriminately firing 11 100 armor-piercing bullets, injuring 11 police officers and 6 bystanders. Over 300 law enforcement officers from 5 agencies fighting for their lives returned fire with more than 550 rounds. However, most were armed with 38 revolvers or 9mm pistols, no match for the arsenal of high-capacity AK-47s and automatic rifles wielded by the perpetrators. The nation watched in horror as the terror unfolded live on television, with news helicopters broadcasting the battle now remembered as the North Hollywood Shootout. The two gunmen behind the North Hollywood Shootout, Larry Phillips Jr. and Stefan Emil Matasareanu, first met at a Gold's Gym in Venice, Los Angeles, California in 1989. Phillips, born on September 20, 1970, was a gruff-looking man with a pencil mustache and a history of habitual offenses, including multiple real estate scams and counts of shoplifting. He was a qualified electrical engineer but ran a relatively unsuccessful computer repair business. Despite their contrasting upbringings, the two quickly became close friends, bonding over weightlifting, bodybuilding, firearms, and philosophical ideas. They shared stories of their tough childhoods and their mutual hatred for authority. Phillips grew up around an ex-convict father who struggled with the law, while Matasareanu witnessed his home country of Romania violently collapse in 1989 on live TV. Their animosity towards the world and its figures ran deep. On July 20, 1993, Phillips and Matasareanu robbed an armored car outside a branch of First Bank in Littleton, Colorado. Later, on October 29th, they were arrested in Glendale, northeast of Los Angeles, for operating a stolen vehicle. Initially charged with conspiracy to commit robbery, both served 100 days in jail and were placed on 3 years of probation due to plea bargaining. After their release, most of their seized property was returned to them, except for the confiscated firearms and explosives. Continuing their spree, in May 1996, they targeted 2 branches of Bank of America in the San Fernando Valley region of Los Angeles, making off with an estimated sum of $1.5 million. The two criminals sought a larger target, ultimately selecting branch 6600 of Bank of America, located on Laurel Canyon Blvd in North Hollywood, California. It was an optimal location for several reasons. Professional bank robbers tend to target branches located on street corners for better escape routes. It was the perfect stage for the perfect heist. On the morning of February 28, 1997, after months of preparation that included extensive reconnaissance of their intended target, Phillips and Matasareanu armed themselves with a semi-automatic HK-91 and several illegally converted weapons, including a fully automatic Bushmaster XM15 dissipator equipped with a triangular M16A1 style handguard. Phillips and Matasareanu arrived at the Bank of America branch in North Hollywood around 9:16 a.m. and set their watch alarms for 8 minutes, the estimated police response time. As they entered the bank, they were spotted by 2 LAPD officers, Lauren Farrell and Martin Perello, who were driving down Laurel Canyon in a patrol car. Officer Farrell issued a call on the radio requesting assistance. As they entered the bank, each armed with a Norinco Type 56 S1 rifle, Phillips and Matasareanu forced a customer leaving the ATM lobby near the entrance into the bank and onto the floor. A security guard inside saw the scuffle and the heavily armed robbers and radioed his partner in the parking lot to call the police. The call was not received. The 2 criminals opened fire into the ceiling in an attempt to scare the approximately 30 bank staff and customers and to discourage resistance. Matasserianu shot open the bulletproof door, which was designed to resist only low-velocity rounds, and gained access to the tellers and vault. The robbers forced assistant manager John Villagrana to open the vault and begin to fill their money bag. However, due to a change in the bank's delivery schedule, the vault contained significantly less than the $750,000 the gunman had expected. Matasserianu, enraged at this development, argued with Villagrana and demanded more. In an apparent show of frustration, Matasserianu then fired a full-drum magazine of 75 rounds into the bank's safe, destroying much of the remaining money. Before leaving, the robbers locked the hostages in the bank vault. In the end, the two left with $300 and $3,305 packs. While the robbers were still inside, additional North Hollywood Division Patrol and detective units arrived and took strategic positions at all four corners of the bank, establishing a perimeter around it. At approximately 9:24 a.m., Phillips exited through the north doorway and, after spotting a police cruiser 200 feet away, opened fire for several minutes. In the initial shooting, Phillips wounded several police officers as well as 3 civilians that had taken cover behind Sergeant Haynes's patrol car. He also fired at an LAPD helicopter flown by Charles D. Perrigay Jr.
Get up! Get out of there! Fire!
Our firing at will. It is complete chaos.
As it surveyed the scene from above, forcing it to withdraw to a safer distance. He briefly retreated inside, then re-emerged through the north doorway, while Matasserianu exited through the south exit. Officers, armed mostly with then-standard-issue Beretta 9mm pistols, 38 special revolvers, and 12-gauge pump-action shotguns, continued to exchange fire with both robbers. However, they quickly realized that their handguns and shotguns were ineffective against the body armor worn by the armed robbers. This was exacerbated by the limited range of most LAPD officers' service pistols, particularly in the longer distances between officers and the bank entrance. Additionally, the officers found themselves pinned down by the robbers' heavy gunfire, making it nearly impossible to attempt accurate shots with their handguns. Officer Richard Zelensky of Valley Traffic Division found effective cover behind the adjacent Del Taco restaurant's west wall, approximately 351 feet from Phillips. From this position, he fired 86 rounds at Phillips and is believed to have hit him during the exchange. Zelensky also drew Phillips's fire away from Sergeant Haynes and Officer Whitfield, who were both wounded and had minimal cover behind trees across Laurel Canyon Blvd. Detectives Vince Bancroft and Kevin Harley positioned themselves behind cover and fired between 15 and 24 rounds at Phillips from a distance of approximately 55 feet. Meanwhile, in the parking lot, Matasserianu sustained injuries to his right buttock, right leg, and left forearm from police gunfire. A fourth projectile struck his upper right eye socket, causing him to take cover behind the hood of the getaway car in shock. He abandoned his duffel bag of money, entered the vehicle, and started the engine. Phillips retrieved the HK-91 from the trunk and continued firing at officers while using the sedan for cover. As Phillips approached the passenger's side of the getaway vehicle, he was hit in the shoulder, causing his rifle to sustain damage. Phillips discarded the HK-91 and retrieved the Norinco Type 56 before fleeing the parking lot and retreating onto the street, while Matasserianu drove away. At 9:52 a.m., Phillips turned east on Archwood Street and took cover behind a parked semi-truck where he continued to fire at the police until his rifle jammed. Unable to clear the jam because of a gunshot wound to his left wrist, he dropped the rifle and drew a Beretta 92FS pistol, which he began firing. He was then shot in the right hand by Officer Conrado Torres, causing him to drop the pistol. After retrieving it, he placed the muzzle under his chin and fired. As he fell, Officer John Caprarelli shot him in the upper torso, severing his spine. Meanwhile, Matasserianu's vehicle was rendered inoperable after 2 of its tires were shot out. At 9:56 a.m., he attempted to carjack a yellow 1963 Jeep Gladiator on Archwood by shooting at the driver, who fled on foot 3 blocks east of where Phillips died. He quickly transferred all of his weapons and ammunition from the getaway car, but was unable to operate the Jeep due to the driver engaging the electrical kill switch before fleeing. As KCBS and KCL helicopters hovered overhead, a patrol car driven by SWAT officers Donnie Anderson, Steve Gomez, and Richard Massa quickly arrived and stopped on the opposite side of the truck to where the Chevrolet was stopped. Matasareanu left the truck, took cover behind the original getaway car, and engaged them in 2.5 minutes of almost uninterrupted gunfire. Anderson fired his AR-15 below the cars and wounded Matasareanu in his unprotected lower legs. He was soon unable to continue and put his hands up to show surrender. The police radioed for an ambulance, but Matasareanu, loudly swearing profusely and still goading the police to shoot him, died before the ambulance and EMTs were allowed to reach the scene almost 70 minutes later. A civil rights lawsuit, later filed on behalf of Matasareanu's 2 young children, alleged he was deliberately allowed to bleed to death. It ended in a deadlocked jury, with the city ultimately agreeing to pay $50,000 in legal fees. The shootout contributed to motivating the arming of rank-and-file police officers in Los Angeles and nationwide with semi-automatic rifles. The year following the shootout, 18 officers of the LAPD received the Departmental Medal of Valor for their actions. You can salute these gallant officers by giving this video a thumbs up. Remember to stay subscribed so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos featuring our unsung heroes. Until next time, thanks for watching.